of all, uh, welcome to this session. So, the today's session is transforming the regulatory system of higher education. So, why transformation is required in case of today's education system? First of all, we are using 19th century infrastructure, 20th century syllabus, and we are teaching 21st century students. So it's very difficult using 19th century infrastructure, 20th century syllabus, and we are dealing with the students, they are present in the 20th century. For that reason, transformation is required, and NEP 2020 bring that changes so that we can provide the basic knowledge, more practical aspect of knowledge the student can gain, and the working in the multidisciplinary, that is the most important aspect of NEP 2020. And for that reason, I think transformation in the regulatory system of higher education is one of the vital subject nowadays. So this is the outline of my presentation that I will cover my presentation starting from objectives of education, evolution of Indian higher education, evolution of education policy, NEP 2020, academic reforms in higher education, salient features of NEP, and conclusion. So what is the objective of education? So education, there are so many different type of definitions are present, but in my point of view, education is something to grab the basic supreme knowledge, and using that knowledge, applying that knowledge, if we can solve a problem that is related with our society, that's the main objective of the education. So education does not define to complete a particular program or particular course. After that, we are eligible for get a job. That is not the purpose of education. Education means to grab the supreme knowledge, and we have to apply that knowledge to solve the problem which are present in our society. That is the main common vital point of education. Okay. So in some theoretical definition, education can provide students with the transferable skills that they may better adapt to the needs of a changing society from ancient to the modern era. So nowadays we are the modern era, but after 100 years or 200 years, that will be converted into the ancient era of education. So using that education, using the technology, we have to convert this changing system. That means we must have to bring the adaptability in our education system so that our student can easily adapt the changes from ancient to the modern era. So I am associated with the computer science department. So in computer science department, the primary objective of the education is the adaptability, because as you know that in computer science, every day or every year a new technology is coming to the market. So if there is no such adaptability skill in the students, they can't easily adapt the systems of the changes that are happening in the industry. So adaptability is the mandatory factor in case of education system. Okay. So what are the common objectives? So common objectives is the supreme knowledge. We have to grab the supreme knowledge, or acquisition of the supreme knowledge is the most common objective. Then second one is the new competencies. We have to create the new competencies, because the objective of NEP is that, suppose I am a faculty from computer science department, but I have to contribute in the field of electrical, electronics, mechanical, because nowadays all the industry working in the multidisciplinary scenario. That means if a student from computer department, he can associated with the electronics department, electrical department, or mechanical department, so that mutually they can create some objects, or mutually they can solve a problem that is present in the society. So if a computer program is there, he can write the coding. If a mechanical person is there, he can write the code for handling the robotics part. If electronics person is present, he can write a code to interact with the machines. So using combine all the technologies, we have to solve that particular problem. So new competencies is the mandatory common objective of education. Then individual and social development. No right or wrong things. Learn moral and religious values. We don't forget about our moral values and the religious values. Okay. But nowadays we are gradually forgetting the religion values, religious values, and the moral values. But this is the common objective of education, that how we can learn the moral and religious values, and how we can transfer this religion and moral values to the next generation. Next is the physical development. So these are the basic common objectives of the education. So this is the glimpse of Indian education system. We have started from ancient period. In that particular time, transformation was also occurred. So started from Gurukul. Gurukul is the basically Sanskrit word. It is a combination of two words. One is called as the Guru. Guru means teacher, and second one is the Kul. Kul means teacher's house. That is called as the Gurukul. So started from Gurukul, then it converted to Vedic, then Buddhist, then Sanskrit, and then Pali. So this is the transformation which happened in case of ancient period also. Okay. Then the medieval period. In medieval period, maktabs are there. Then it is transformed to the madrasas. Then it transformed to the vocationals. After that, it comes to the British Raj and the post-independent scenario that we are following the education system, that is the post-independence. So transformation is required, but because every time we have to transfer the knowledge, and every time the technology is going to be changed, syllabus is going to be changed, curriculum is going to be changed. So how we can modify that curriculum, how we can modify that syllabus, so that we can provide the maximum benefit to our students. So for that reason also, transformation in the education system is required, and it's happened from the ancient era, ancient period to the post-independent scenario. So these are the some diagrams that present from the Gurukul system to the post-independent system, how the education system is changed. So this is the evolution of Indian higher education. The ancient universities in India, we have heard about Takshashila University and Nalanda University, because these are the two most famous university in ancient periods. Okay, so Takshashila, or that is called as the instead Takshila, was formed in between 5th or 6th century BC to the 5th century AD. So it was established in Gandhar, now in Pakistan. So in that time, ancient era, in that particular university, apart from Vedas, the 18 arts was included, or they are present in that in their curriculum, which includes archery, hunting, elephant lore, in addition to its law school, medical school, and school of military science. That means in that time also they have divided their curriculum in theoretical as well as practical knowledge also. Okay. So nowadays, the maximum engineering colleges or technical education, they are trying or focusing their knowledge from uh, Pathshala to Prayogshala. That means we are converting our theoretical knowledge to our practical knowledge. In our today's education system, we are focusing 70% on theoretical aspect and 30% in practical aspect. But now in new curriculum, your 50% weightage will be provided to your theoretical, and also 50% weightage will be provided to your practical. So practical is very much is one of the most important aspect in case of education system. So in that ancient time also, they are using theoretical knowledge. That means using Vedas, they are trying to fulfill the Bloom's taxonomy, because in case of Bloom's taxonomy, there are 6 different criteria. Starting one is the lower level is remember, then understand, then apply, then analyze, evaluate, and create. So in that time, they use this remember and understanding. That means these two parts are converted into the theoretical aspect. That means Vedas, they have to read, they have to remember the things, and they have to understand the knowledge. Okay. Then they apply and analyze part in case of archery, hunting, and elephant lore. So these are the practical subjects. How the you can apply that knowledge, how you can analyze that knowledge, that part was covered in that time also. But now Bloom's taxonomy cover all these 6 aspects from remember to the create part. But in that time, so they equally focus on the practical as well as the theoretical aspect. Okay, so law school was present in that time, medical schools are present, and school of military science. So a common people can understand his moral responsibility. He can learn something about about some basic treatment process and some military exercise or military science, so that they can save their motherland. Okay. The Ayurvedic healer Charak studied at Takshashila, because whenever we are talking about the universities, we must quote some name of the students. those who bring glory for the university. So the Ayurvedic healer Charak studied at Takshashila. Arthashastra by Chanakya or Kautilya was composed at Takshashila. So these are the basic glimpses or information about the Takshashila University. So another university that is called as the Nalanda University, that was established in the 5th century to the 12th century CE. And it was the India's or world's first residential university in the ancient era. So nowadays there are so many residential schools are present, residential colleges are present, but in that particular time, that means 5th century to the 12th century, so residential universities, already the world's first residential universities was our Nalanda universities. So you imagine in that particular time, so how the education system of India was so famous that not only students from our inside country, those they used, that means students from outside country, they used come to the India for higher education. But now the scenario is totally different. Now we are going to the outside for get the higher education. Okay, so we have to change this concept. We have to bring our glory back. For that purpose, NEP 2020 was introduced. Okay, so it had over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers on the campus. That is with a faculty student ratio is 1:5. So any one of you can explain what is the student faculty ratio as per the NAC or NBA in current scenario? Anyone from your side? Anyone from you? Anyone can mention what is the current faculty student ratio in our current technical scenario or technical education scenario?
Sir, earlier it was 15:1. Now it is modified to 20:1.
It is 1:15 earlier. Now it is 1:20, and UGC is trying to it's 1:25. So that means 1:5. In the 5th century and 12th century, it was 1:5. That means mentoring 5 number of students, there is a single faculty is present. But nowadays, what happened? For mentoring of 15 number of students, there is a single faculty. For mentoring of 20 number of students, there is a single faculty. And now they're trying to convert it 1:25. That means mentoring of 25 number of students, that is a single faculty member. So the concept of mentor-mentee is very good. But if we increase the number of students under a mentor, it's very difficult to judge the overall growth of the students. But in that particular time, the ratio was 1:5. So a particular faculty or guru can focus all, they can judge every aspect of the student. Okay. And in that particular time, the library was a 9-storied building where meticulous copies of textbooks were produced and preserved. So nowadays libraries are there to preserve the books, but in that time, not only preserve the books, they are using produce the book. That means we have to develop some book, some newsletters, some copies, and after that we can preserve. But nowadays our focusing is to bring the copies and preserve it in the library, because nowadays not a single student is going to the library because library is in their fingertips. But it's our responsibility to not only preserve the books, we have to write some books, we have to provide some new concept, new content to the students. But in that particular time, they simultaneously work on the preservation and as the produce the more number of books also. So students studied science, astronomy, medicine, and logic as diligently they applied themselves. That means this is the most important aspect of the Bloom's taxonomy. We have to apply whenever we are going to check the knowledge. Okay, nowadays what happened? Suppose we are going to conduct a CT. Before that, we are going to make a question paper. So in question paper, we have to map each question with the Bloom's taxonomy, and it may be the remember, it may be the understand, it may be the apply, or it may be the analyze. So in higher education, we focus on the apply and analyze part. Okay, that means if a student can apply a specific knowledge, then easily he can remember the things, easily he can understand the things. Then after he can go to the next step, that is apply. If he can apply the things, he can analyze the things. Okay, so in ancient era also, they believe in the application of the knowledge. So they studied social science, astronomy, medicines. Not they have studied they are also try to apply themselves in the metaphysics, philosophy, yoga shastra, and Vedas. Okay, but nowadays we are focusing on remember and understand part, because the test pattern or the examination pattern focus on the remember and understand what you have remember, what you understand. Just go and write the sentence in that particular copy, and after that we are going to evaluate and we are going to award some marks. But this is very much, that means this process is not going to happen in NEP 2020. In NEP 2020, 30% mark will be provided for your theoretical aspect, that means how you remember the things and how you understand the things. Then 30% will be your practical knowledge assessment test, that means 30% mark will be awarded to your apply and analyze skills. You have to perform, you have to make a project. Okay, and another 30% mark or 40% mark will be on evaluate and create. Okay, after completion of a program, nowadays 100% assessment is focused on the theoretical knowledge. That means you have to write the things in the copy, and we are going to check the copy, and we are going to award some marks. But NEP 2020, that is divided into three different segments. 30% mark for your understand, remember, and understand skill. 30% mark will be awarded to your application and analyze part, and 40% mark will be for your create and evaluate. That means after completion of your program or after completion of your semester, you have to develop something, you have to create something. It may be the multidisciplinary work, or single-handedly you have to create something. Depending upon your creativity and of your product, the examiner will provide you some marks. Okay, so that will be the main objective, and that is the main aspect of NEP, so that we can transform from our education system for remember, understand, to evaluate and create. They likewise studied foreign philosophy transcending ethnics and national boundaries. The university attracted peoples of and scholars from Korea, Japan, China, Tibet, Indonesia, Persia, Turkey, and apart from other globe. So I mentioned that. So in that particular time, they used come to our country to learn the education. But nowadays we are going outside to learn the education. So we must change this pattern, and NEP 2020 is focused on that, how we can change the scenario. So Nalanda represent the concept of universities of the ancient period. So establishment of modern university in India. So after a gap of 600 years, okay, destruction of Nalanda, the universities, three main universities, Bombay University, Calcutta University, and Madras Universities, was formed in the year 1857. Okay, University of Allahabad was established after 30 years of Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. That was in 1887. These universities began as purely examining bodies, as continued to be till the beginning of the 20th century. That means the education system, the evaluation part was purely on the examining bodies. That means theoretical aspect, we are going to evaluate the knowledge. Okay, but in 1902, that means 1902, the Indian University Commission was appointed, and the Indian University Act passed in 1904, because the population was grown in that particular time. So four number of universities are present. So Indian Universities Act was passed so that we can create some more universities. The government resolution education policy that was accepted in 1913, and that opened the door for the new universities. Six new universities was established in between 1913 to 1921. A teaching unitary and largely residential university was established at Lucknow in 1920. Banaras Hindu University, founded by Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya in 1916. Aligarh Muslim University, founded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1920. So after 1913, some more universities come to existence, and the famous universities are Banaras Hindu University and Aligarh Muslim University. Two princely state universities was established in that time also, that is called as the Mysore Universities and Osmania University, and they have adopted Urdu as the medium of education. So in NEP 2020, medium of education is your regional language. It may be Hindi, it may be English, it may be Kannada, it may be Telugu. So we focused on the regional languages. But in that particular time also, that means in 1916 and 1918, when Osmania University was and Mysore University was established, they adopted Urdu as the medium of education. Sir Dondo Kesav Karbe founded Srimati Nitabai Damodar Tharkesi University, that is the first women's university in 1916, and first 5 women graduated from this university in 1921. So, in 1916, the first women universities were established in India, and in 1921, the first 5 women graduated from this university. After 1921, when education was transferred from the Indian control, the development of universities was much faster. Okay, in 1921, the transformation of education system come to the Indian control. Then after total number of universities was 19 in that particular time. That means before independence, there are 19 number of universities was present. After the attainment of independence, then there is a rapid expansion in the higher education, or more number of universities was open. In 21st century has been phenomenal expansion of higher education institution in India. In this 21st century, there are 119 universities in India in 1991. That was increased up to 847 in 2016, because I have taken this reference from the UGC 2016. So you imagine from 190 universities that was in 1990, and after that 26 years, it was jumped to the 847 universities. 54 central universities, 443 state universities, 403 state private universities, 126 institutions deemed to be universities, and 162 institute of national importance and others in India as per the record of 2021. Okay. Today, there are nearly 30 million students, excluding the students that they are taking the education benefits from the open and distance education. 30 million students are in the higher education. The growth has also helped bridging the social gap or participation in the higher education. Nowadays, we are trying to minimize the gap in between industry and academia. So you imagine the challenges that present in front of us, how we can minimize the gap. That because nowadays industry follows some one particular curriculum, they are moving in one direction, and our curriculum moving in another direction. So two aspects, and we both are moving in the different directions. So the problem is that we have to minimize the gap that present in between industry and academic. So the objective of NEP is also that how we can minimize, how we can involve industry in our teaching learning process, how we can mapping the curriculum with the industry requirement, so that we can minimize the gap that present in the industry and academia. That is also the major objective of NEP 2020. Okay. So report of National Education Commission headed by Sam Pitroda in 2009 accelerate the growth of universities. So what is the evolution of education policy? So University Education Commission was formed in the 1948 to 1949. Then the transformation occurred to the Secondary Education Commission. It was established in the 1952 to 1953. Then Education Commission under the D.S. Kothari, it was formed in 1964 to 1966. National Policy of Education was introduced in 1968. National Policy on Education in 1986. NP, that means National Policy of Education, was modified in 1992 in the Program of Action in 1992. That is called as the Program of Action because it was the modification part of 1986. It is the modification part of National Policy on Education. Then Kasturi Rangan Committee was formed in 31st 2019. That means this is the evaluation or transformation of education policy in India. Okay. So University Education Commission was established in the 1949 under the chairmanship of Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. So what was the objective of aims and objective of that University Education Commission? First is to focus on the courses of study. How we can define a particular course. How we can provide some practical knowledge, theoretical knowledge in that particular course so that our students can get the maximum benefit. That was the prime objective of that University Education Commission courses of study. Teachers and faculty research, how our faculty members can uh, do some more research work so that they can gain the practical knowledge. That was the main aim and objective of that university education, because the primary objective is that motivate our teachers or motivate our faculty members to focus on the more practical knowledge rather than theoretical knowledge. Professional development and training, how we can motivate our faculty members, or how we can provide some basic training, professional training, so that they can grab some basic knowledge. Okay, medium of instructions, what will be the medium of instruction so that we can reach this education to the mass audience. Medium of instruction was present, and the focus was how we can define the medium of instructions. Education, that means focusing on women religious. Okay, because in that particular time, literacy rate of women are very poor, so the main objective is that how we can maximize, or how we can bring the women in the education sector, education with respect to the women religion. Professional method of teaching, what will be the teaching learning process, what will be the professional teaching learning process, and finance part, how much budget we can allocate for this education system. So these are the prime and main objective of University Education Commission that was happened in the 1948 to 1949. Then transformation occurred in 1952, and it was under the leadership of it was formed in 1952 under the leadership of Moduliar. That means that on the name of this chairman, that commission was named as Moduliar Commission. Okay, Dr. Lakshman Swami Moduliar, he was appointed to secondary chairman board education, and there under his leadership, a committee was formed, a commission was formed that is called as the Moduliar Commission, and their prime objective is that to study the condition of contemporary secondary education and to suggest a measure for it reorganization, to study what is the current scenario and how we can changes this current scenario, and how we can reorganize in the structure. That was the main objective of that secondary education commission. To study aim curriculum teaching standard of secondary education every province of India. To study pay scale and service condition, they focus on the pay scale, what will be the minimum pay scale of teachers, and what will be the service condition of a secondary school teacher. Okay, but in 1946 to 1948, there is no such provision on the pay scale and service condition. But in secondary education, they focus on the pay scale and the service condition of secondary school teachers. To study condition of secondary schools in every province, we have to study what is the condition of the school. To study the examination system of secondary level, how we can improve the examination pattern, and to study the problems of secondary education every province and suggest their remedies. So what are the lacuna that present in the previous education system? In the secondary education system, they make a committee to evaluate on all the things and submit a report so that we can bring some changes. So what are the defects that present in that existing system? So first one is the curriculum of secondary education system is impractical. That means a lack of practical knowledge was present, was not present in that particular time, because 90% focus was on the theoretical aspect. So that was the main defects that present in that existing system. Then teaching method are full of defects. Examination system is full of defects. Rigid timetable and unsuitable textbooks, because nowadays whenever we are going to design or develop a curriculum, we must focus on the textbook, reference book, so that a student can refer this textbook and reference book to grab the knowledge. But in that particular time, there is no such suitable textbooks are present, reference books are present. Timetable was so, that means there is no proper such timetable. So rigid timetable was present. So these are some problems that defects that present in that existing system. No proper arrangement of co-curricular activities in the school. That means the inline of co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, because co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities also plays a vital role in education system. But how we can arrange this co-curricular activity and extracurricular activity so that a student can make its maximum benefit. So that was missing in that particular existing system. No proper criteria of appointment of teachers. So there is no such proper criteria or that is called as the skill. How we can analyze the skill of the skill of a teacher. There was no such provision in that particular time. So these are the defects that present in the existing system. And after that, to analyze these existing systems, in 1964 to 1966, D.S. Kothari was popularly known as the Kothari Commissions. That means under his supervision, this Kothari Commission was formed, and 17 members, in which 5 foreign experts from countries like USA, UK, USSR, France, and Japan. They are that means a 17 member was formed to evaluate all the things, and in 17 members, 5 members from the foreign experts. So the commission's objective is that education and productivity. Education and productivity. That means using that education, we can help our industry so that it can produce the maximum number of objects, or maximum they can produce the huge amount of materials for our country. That means education is directly involved with the productivity. How we can enhance our productivity of our industry using our education system. Science education as an integral part of school course. Work experience as an important aspect of general education. Vocational education, especially at the secondary school stage, to meet the need of the industry and agriculture and commerce. So how we can provide this benefit of education to the industry, to the agriculture sector and the commerce sector, that was introduced in 1964 to 1966. That means under the Kothari Commission. Improvement of scientific and technical education and research at the university stage. How we can introduce the research at the university stage, how we can motivate the students so that they can contribute something for the industry in the agriculture sector and the commerce sector. That was happened in Kothari Commission, or the Education Commission, that was formed in 1964 to 1966. So national policy on education was introduced in 1968, because in that time the country has reached a stage in its economic and technical development when a major effort must be made to drive this maximum benefits and ensure that the fruit changes reach to all sections. Because in 1968, there are so many education universities were formed in our country, and we focus shifted from the normal education to the technical development. And the objective is that how we can drive that maximum benefit so that we can ensure that the fruit of changes reach to all sectors. That was the main objective of national policy on education. With this aim in view, Government of India announced in 1985 that a new education policy was formulated, which came to being in 1986. That was called the National Education Policy. So in 1968, National Policy on Education was framed, so that the objective is that to drive the maximum benefits. And in 1986, the National Education Policy was formed. To promote education amongst the Indian people, first NEP was promulgated in 1968 by the government PM under the supervision of Indira Gandhi, and the second PM of Rajiv Gandhi in 1986. So in that particular time, that means in 1986, the National Policy on Education. So these are the major aim and objectives. The essence and role of education. What will be the role and essence of the education? National system of education. Education for equality. Reorganization of education of different stages. Technical and management education. Making the system work and reorienting the content of process education. So National Policy on Education was formed keeping the eye on these points. New Education Policy 2020 was formed in July 2020 under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturirangan. Okay, the future-looking NEP 2020 has replaced old National Policy on Education that was framed in 1986. It offers a comprehensive framework for elementary education of higher education. It includes a whole host of transformative changes such as 5-3-3 plus 4 structure in place of 10 plus 2. So in 1986, the national education policy that followed the structure of 10 plus 2, but a new education policy that is transformed to the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Introduce vocational educating training at younger level to develop a culture of innovation and a highly skilled workforce. So now we are focusing on the culture of innovation. Government of India taking so many measurative actions for innovative, Toykathon, hackathons. So to promote innovation in the Technical Institute, Government of India taking a lead, and they are going to organize so many different type of competitions so that students from all over the country can participate and show their skills. The emphasis on making the curriculum flexible through an interdisciplinary approach creating multiple exit points. So nowadays there is a single entry point and single exit points. But in NEP 2020, multiple exit points are there. At any point of time after completion of 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years, you can switch to another course or another program. But nowadays it is not possible. There is a single entry point and single exit point. So in that particular time, some flexible approaches is present so that if a student can want to work in the multidisciplinary approach, they can work on it. So for that reason, multiple entry and multiple exit approaches is there. Multidisciplinary university and national research is established so that a student can take the maximum benefit of new education policy 2020. So what are the reforms that related to access, equity, inclusiveness, and quality? Access means opportunity for admission for a large number of talented students with prerequisite knowledge and aptitude. Because NEP focus on two things, aptitude and attitude. If you have the attitude and if you have the aptitude, then you can easily get a job in the industry. Okay. Equity means equalness. No talented person shall be denied access to opportunity in higher education on the ground of economic and social backwardness with the constitutional framework. Inclusiveness, that means students having the different intellectual capabilities belong to the different countries, states, religious communities, different social backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, differently abled students with special needs, students on different discipline study in the university. Inclusiveness, they focused on inclusiveness, equity, access, and quality related to the process, that the quality of education process experienced by the students. So simultaneously quantity is there and also quality is there. We are focusing from the teacher center to the learner center. Nowadays NAC and NBA, they are focusing on teaching learning process. What the mechanism that the or pedagogy of teaching learning process. So the transformation from teacher centered to the learner centered. Simultaneously, a teacher must have to learn along with the students so that they can pass the knowledge, not only theoretical knowledge, the practical knowledge, the knowledge that is required by the industry. Because ultimately, industry is looking to the education sectors. So we must have to develop some ecosystem, develop some curriculum that can fulfill the requirement of the industry. So the transformation must occur from the teacher center to the learner center. Learner centered curriculum we must have to develop. The syllabus must be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary curriculum must we have to develop so that we can add maximum number of elective courses so that a student from any department, any branch, or any course can opt any type of subject depending upon their interest. Flexible curricula, that means core subject must be there, elective courses must be there, mandatory courses must be there, and open elective courses must be there. That means we have to develop a flexible curriculum so that a student can easily select a particular subject or a particular course, okay, because he want to do more on that particular subject, so easily he can select on the basis of elective course or on the basis of open elective. So it must be the a mutual understanding of core course, elective course, mandatory course, and the open elective. Total restructuring of curriculum. Okay. The next one is the major reforms of higher education. So major reforms are 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035. The main objective of NEP 2020 is that to enhance the gross enrollment ratio, and as per the NEP 2020, the target is the 50% of gross enrollment ratio up to 2035. Holistic and multidisciplinary education flexibility of subject, that means multiple entry, multiple exit. UG program, that means 3 or 4 years. PG program 1 or 2 years. But nowadays PG program is having 2 years, and UG programming having 4 years. But there is some flexibility is given. UG programming may be up to 3 or 4 years, and PG programming is 1 or 2 years. Integrated 5 years bachelor's or master degree is present. MPhil is discontinued in NEP 2020. Credit transfer and academic bank of credit. So this is, in my point of view, this is one of the major transformation in NEP 2020. So what is the meaning of credit transfer and academic bank of credit? That means a credit system is there, a credit bank is there. Okay, suppose you have completed your 1 year course in any institute, you earn some credit, suppose it may be 10 or 50, then this credit will be preserved, and after 1 year, suppose a student discontinue the things, and after 2 or 3 years, if you want to continue the things from there only, then this credit that he earned in that particular 1 year will be transferred when you start from second year. That means in case of if you want to start from second year, then this credit that you have earned in first year will be transferred to the second year. That is called as the credit transfer system. And academic bank credit. A bank as a credit bank will be created, and in that credit bank, your total credit will be stored. Okay, so this suppose after 2 years you want to switch into some foreign country and you want to start some new course there, or you transfer from one university to another university in our country, then this credit will be utilized. That is called as the credit transfer and academic bank of credit. Higher education institute, research intensive, teaching intensive, universities, and autonomous degree of granting colleges. So they are morely focused on the autonomous degree granted colleges. Model of multidisciplinary education or research universities, that is called as the MERU, and that will be established in every near district. That means in every district that will be a model multidisciplinary education and research university will be established. Next is graduated autonomy, academic, administrative, and finance. That means graded autonomy will be focused on academic point of view, administrative point of view, and financial aspect point of view. Phasing out affiliation system in 15 years, national mission and mentoring, independent board of governors, that is called as the BOG, single regulator for higher education, excluding legal and medical. Apart from this legal and medical, a single regulatory board will be formed for higher education. Online self-disclosure based transparent system for approval in place of inspection. So in nowadays, inspection was occur for NAC or NBA or some other inspections. So that will be vanished, and self-disclosure based transparent system will be introduced. Common norms for public and private higher education institute, that is private philanthropic partnership, that will call as the PPP model will be established, and more focus will be on PPP model. Fee fixation committee with a board regulatory framework. Public investment in education sector reach up to 6% of GAP at the earliest. That means nowadays government of India is trying to make some universities like in PPP model. Okay. So National Research Foundation will be established, that is called as the NRF, so that our students or faculty members can do more research work. They can publish maximum number of patent book chapters. Okay, for that reason, National Research Foundation will be established. Internationals of education, that means not only we have to improve the education system of our country, simultaneously we have to focus that the students must visit our country for the higher education. Okay, integration of vocational, teacher and professional education, how we can integrate this vocational training, summer training or other training, so that our students and as well as the faculty can get some training from the industry. We can they can acquainted what is going on in industry and what we have to cover in our classes. So integration of vocational, teacher and professional education is also there. Setting up the new quality higher education institute has been made easier. Standalone HEI and Professional Education Institute will evolves into the multidisciplinary activity. Special Education Zone for the disadvantaged regions. National Institute for Pali, Persian and Prakritis. Focus on the literature and scientific vocabulary on Indian languages. Language faculty must be appointed in every university, because nowadays NEP is also focusing on the multi-level, multilingual system. If a student want to study in his regional language, then you must have to appoint a faculty. Then they can teach in that regional language also. Research on languages, strengthening the national institutes for promoting the classical languages and literature. Indian Institute of Translation in Interpretation, that means IITI, will be opened. Cultural awareness of our Indian knowledge system, promoting traditional art and lok vidya. I think to promoting traditional arts, Indian government started that is called as the Toykathon. So the toy manufacturing, that means to compete with China, they introduced Toykathon, and we can see what happens in India. The toy industry is getting so much popular, and they are getting so much revenue because due to the promotional activity and traditional arts. Higher education India, school or school complex to have artists in residence also. The most vital role of technology in NEP 2020 is that education planning. How we can evolve, how we can involve this technology for education planning. Teaching learning assessment, administration and management, regulation of self-disclosure and minimum human interface. As you know that in case of NAC, 70% of evaluation done through the AI-based technology. That means how we can involve our technology for assessment, for education planning, starting from planning to regulation. We have to use the technology so that we can formulate a better teaching learning process. We can make our classes so much interactive. For that, we have to use the technology. Because nowadays, uh, suppose a class timing is 60 minutes, then you have to divide the 60 minutes in such an interactive session that a student can get the maximum benefit. Your class will be focused on the base theoretical plus product oriented, that means or activity oriented. To focus on the activity oriented, you can use the technology part. So that is the main objective of NEP 2020, how we can involve our technology so that we can enhance our teaching learning process. Divyang friendly education software. Using technology, we can build some new softwares that will be helpful for the bank friendly education system. E-content in religious languages and virtual labs. In Corona, virtual labs plays a vital role in technical education, because in that particular time, the virtual labs developed by some IITs, the maximum engineering college or technical education, they use their virtual labs syllabus, or they use their virtual labs, e-yantra labs, to for completion of the lab curriculum. So technology must be useful to develop some virtual labs. Now government is trying to develop more virtual labs so that students can do the practical work. using that virtual labs. National Education on Technology Forum, that is called as the NETF, digitally equipping schools, teacher and students. So we must have to use technology, and using that technology we can enhance our teaching learning process or teaching pedagogy. Universalization of early childhood care education, that is called as the ECCE, National Mission on Foundational Literacy on Numeracy, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 curricular and pedagogical structure, curriculum to integrate 21st century skills, mathematical thinking, and scientific temper. Because I have already mentioned that we are dealing with the students, they are in the 21st century students, so they are very smart. So, how we can enhance our mathematical thinking skills, scientific temper skills? So we must have to include these skills in our curriculum so that we can deal with the 21st century students. No rigid separation between arts, science, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academical streams. We have to involve, we have to integrate this vocational training and co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities in our curriculum, so that student can't separate that no, this is the curriculum activity, this is the extracurricular activity, this is the co-curricular activity. We must have to design a syllabus, we must have to develop a curriculum, so there the student can't easily distinguish between the curricular and extracurricular activities. Okay, so in our curriculum, extracurricular activity must be present, vocational training must be present, so that they can help each other for the development of teaching learning process. Education on gifted children's, gender inclusion fund, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, that is called as the KGVP up to grade 12, reduction in curriculum to core concepts. Nowadays, as per the rule of AICT, we are going to cut some particular courses and introduce core concepts. Vocational integrated from the class 6 onwards. That means vocational training, it may be paid or it may be the unpaid vocational training. It was introduced from class 6. The purpose is that from class 6, student can focus on the practical knowledge. Because what happened, in school curriculum, we think that we are focusing on the remember and understand. But NEP 2020 focus on that. If vocational training was introduced in class 6, we can believe that in class 6, we can motivate our students to apply their knowledge. Okay. Nowadays, apply, that means application of knowledge and analyze of the knowledge happen after class 12. But objective of NEP is that in class 6, a student of class 6 can apply his knowledge or analyze his knowledge if he doing the vocational training. So what are the other major reforms? New education curriculum framework to school, teacher and adult education. Board examination will be low stakes based on knowledge application. Medium of instruction till at least grade 5 are preferably by till grade 8 and beyond the home language, mother language and regional language. Up to grade 5 or up to grade 8, you can follow home language, you can follow your mother tongue or the regional language will be the mode of instruction. 360-degree holistic progress card of child. So not only theoretical knowledge, what you have written in your answer copy, using that answer copy, you are going to evaluate that. On the basis of activity, on the basis of project development, on the basis of your creativity, on the basis of your innovation, that is called as the 360-degree holistic progress card will be there. Nowadays, progress card is the simple theoretical knowledge that what you get marked in your answer copy. Using that, we are going to evaluate. But apart from that, the evaluation will be upon on your innovation, your creativity, your productivity, and what you developed after completion of that particular program or particular subject. That will be also evaluated, and that is called as the 360-degree holistic progress card. Tracking student progress for achieving learning outcome. So we have to focus on the outcomes, because nowadays we are talking about the outcome based education, OBE. So we have to track the record of the students on the basis of learning outcomes. After completion of that particular course, what will be the outcome? National Assessment Center, that is called as the PARAK, Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge of Holistic Development, that is called as the PARAK, that will be introduced, and that is called as the National Assessment Center. NTA to offer common entrance examination for admission of higher education institute. Now there are so many different type of examination are present to take the admission in the higher education systems. But National Testing Agency will offer a common entrance test, and using that entrance test you can take the admission in HEIs. National Professional Standards for Teachers, that is called as the NPST. Book promotion policy of digital libraries. So apart from normal libraries, NEP will be focused on the digital libraries. How much time a student is going to spend on the digital library, that will be also calculated, and that will be also counted in this 360-degree holistic progress card. How much time your student is going to spend in the digital libraries. Transparent online self-disclosure for public oversight and accountability will be fixed. So what will be the outcomes of NEP 2020? So outcome will be the universalization of early childhood care education to secondary education by 2030, aligning with sustainable development goal, that is called as the SDG 4. Attending foundational learning and numeracy skill through national mission by 2025, 100% growth rate enrollment in preschool to secondary school by 2030, bring back 2 crore out of school children, teachers to be prepared for assessment reforms by the 23. So the assessment is going to be reforms. It will be the 360-degree holistic assessment. So this will be the major reformation of NEP 2020. That means assessment process will be totally changed. Inclusive and equitable ecosystem by 2030. Board exams to test score concept and application of knowledge. Every child will come out of school adept in at least one skill. Common standards of learning in public and private schools. So learning standard would not be deviate from private to public. There is a single common standard of learning in public sector as well as the private sector. Early child will come out of school adept at least one skill. Skill-based engineers or skill-based students are required nowadays. Okay, so we are focusing on that means a student must have to adopt a particular skill, and the evaluation is going to be tough because we are going to introduce 360-degree holistic approach evaluation scheme. So what are the salient features of NEP policy 2020? So for schools, that will be in 10 plus 2. This is the current curriculum scenario, but it will be 10 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That means this first 5 years will be for the foundational education system. Then next 3 years will be dedicated to the preparatory of students, and next 3 will be dedicated for the middle, and next 4 will be dedicated to the secondary schooling. Middle stream, flexibility to choose subject across stream, all subject to be offered with 2 levels of proficiency. That means multiple entry and multiple exit system. Using that system, there is a flexibility to select the stream. Diluted board, that means board exam to test only core competencies could become modular. That means it will be happen twice in a year. Nowadays it is a once in a year, but in NEP 2020 it will be happen twice in a year. If you want to improve your score, then there will be 2 chances. That means in a particular year you can improve your score appearing in the second chance also. Multilingual, that means 3 language policy to continue with preference of local languages, medium of instruction up to class 8. You can select your mother tongue language, you can select your regional language, and using that regional or mother tongue language, you can continue your study up to class 8. Backless days are there so that we can more effectively we can introduce the vocational trainings. So backless days means we are going to introduce the vocational training. The training will be provided in that particular 10 days. No theoretical aspect will be there. A vocational training will be provided. That means practical knowledge will be given to the students. Okay. For college, national for testing agency will be there to conduct a common exam. 4-year bachelor's, 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor's program to be performed, preferred. Midterm dropouts to be given credit with optional of to complete degree after a break. So that means credit bank system will be introduced. After some times, if you want to continue, then using that credit system, you can continue from there also. No affiliation will be required. That means over next 15 years, colleges will be given granted autonomy to give degrees, affiliation with the universities to end so deemed university status. Autonomy will be given to all universities so that they can make their own curriculum, that curriculum in line with the industry, and they can distribute the degree also. But there will be some parameter to evaluate all the things. But affiliation will be completely vanished. Free caps. Proposal to cap free charged by private institution to higher learning. Some free caps will be provided to private institutes. Going global, that means top rated global universities to be facilitated to come to India, top Indian institutions to be encouraged to go to global. Now what happened? We are going outside to gain the higher education. But the focus in NEP 2020 is that the top Indian institutes to be encouraged to go global. And top rated global universities to be facilitated to come to India. So NEP 2020 focus, that means some foreign universities, those they are doing the great work in their countries, they can bring to the Indian in our country so that top rated global universities to be facilitated here. And simultaneously, our universities, our institutes, those who are doing the great work, they can promote or they can encourage to global. So these are the silent features of NEP 2020, but the objective is that we want to develop a curriculum in line with the industry so that we can provide the practical knowledge to our students. The more focus will be on the vocational training. We have to make a curriculum in line with the co-curricular activity, extracurricular activity, so that a student can't easily distinguish in between the curricular, extracurricular, or co-curricular activity. How we can motivate our students so that they can apply their knowledge, they can analyze their knowledge, and using that application and analyze, they have to create a specific product. So we have to raise their bar from remember, understand level to the creativity level. Okay, so these are the main common objective. Also, we are going to change the evaluation pattern also. 360-degree holistic approach will be introduced so that a student will be evaluated on the basis of theoretical, practical, intellectual, and its creativity. So depending upon these 5 to 6 parameters, we are going to evaluate a student. So that is going to be changed. And simultaneously, we have to motivate our teachers, our research scholars to enhance the research skill. For that, government is trying to initiate some different activities. They are going to provide some funds so that students as well as the faculty member can do some more research oriented work, and the more focus on the multidisciplinary activity. So nowadays we are talking about AI, and AI is the multidisciplinary. So multidisciplinary means you have to contribute something for the other department if they are lacking in that particular section also. That means faculty or students from computer science, electrical, electronics, mechanical, they have to combine, and the main goal is to develop a product. That product can fulfill the requirement of the industry, that product that can fulfill the industry requirement of the society. So that is the main objective of the NEP 2020. So the new education policy built in on the foundational pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. These are the foundational pillars of NEP 2020. सब तक पहुंचे, एक्सेस, इक्वालिटी सबको मिले, क्वालिटी रहे उसमें, अफोर्डेबल कर सके एजुकेशन को, चाहे वो रिच फैमिली से आया हो या पोर फैमिली से, एंड अकाउंटेबिलिटी. You must have to accountability. Your assessment, your learning outcomes will be mapped and accountability. That means you have the accountability of the students. पढ़ने के बाद में वो कौन से स्किल में क्या कर रहा है, किस स्पेशलाइजेशन को बाहर निकलेगा, ये अकाउंटेबिलिटी ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूट को मिलेगा. सो एक्सेस, इक्वालिटी, quality, affordability, and accountability, these are the 5 basic pillars of NEP 2020. This policy is aligned to the 2030 agenda of sustainable development and aims to transform India into the vibrant knowledge society and global knowledge superpower by making both school and college education more holistic, flexible, multidisciplinary, suited 21st century needs, and aim to bring out the unique capability of each student. So the main objective is that now we are dealing with the old infrastructure, the old curriculum, but we are dealing with the students. They are the 21st century kids. They are very smart. So to dealing with them, we must have to change our new education policy so that we can provide the holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary development in our students. That is the main objective of NEP 2020. So this is the conclusion part of NEP 2020. If you have any question, then you can please ask the question. Thank you. Thank you very much.